What are your earliest memories of Mayfield, and what was it like?
Well, it was, they had the court square, of course, with the courthouse. The things I remember most is that every morning at 10 o'clock, the women, the wives, would all go downtown to a drugstore and have a Coca-Cola, and every day at 10 o'clock. So they all got up early to do their work, I guess, before they went. And then they had to be back home because everybody came home for lunch. So they had to be back to have, they mainly had their main meal at noon, I think, back then. And let me see. Also, I remember Halloween. We would dress up and go downtown. Everybody would park on the court square and let the kids out, and we'd go around and soap all the windows, draw on all the merchants' windows. Well, they got tired of that because it was hard to clean it off and all. So that stopped. I got a little bit scared of Halloween in Mayfield because they would bring a lot of the county kids in too, and they were throwing eggs. I remember one little boy got his eye put out throwing eggs, and they threw them at houses. And I know we got one through our door. I worked for the school, so I got an egg, and it just got a little scary.
What are some of the businesses in Mayfield that you remember?
Well, the vanity shop, of course, Irene's, Evans Drug, and I remember the Princess Theater. That's the only theater we had. When I was in high school, Jane Ann was the drum major, and I was a majorette. Lucy Byrne was a majorette. That's Byrne Funeral Home, Kirky's aunt. And another girl, Davis, I married something Davis. Mary Lou Davis was her name. And oh, we loved it. That was when the song came out, Over the Rainbow, and we had a special deal for Over the Rainbow and all, and it was fun. And of course, I remember all the Thanksgiving ball games that we played Tillman on Thanksgiving Day, and that was a big deal. Yeah.
Football was a big deal.
I was expecting Jim, and it was hot. It was a really warm day for, November. It was Thanksgiving Day. And I had a old fur coat, a muskrat fur, and my mother made me take it. And I said, oh, I'm not going to need it. It was just like a spring day. And we went to the ball game, and while we were there, the temperature dropped 30 degrees. It went from a spring day to snow, and it was freezing. Well, I was warm because I had my fur coat, but the people from Paducah came with just spring coats, and things, and they had to get up and leave, a lot of them. And that was the year that we got cheated by the referee. He had a shocking pink handkerchief. I'll never forget it. And he called back 2 of our touchdowns, and they beat us. I went to work for WKTM in a tent out on the highway to Fancy Farm. They pitched a tent, and that's where we started, and they sent me to Paducah, to WPAD, for training. And then we finally ended up in the Mayfield Hotel. They had the radio station in the Mayfield Hotel. And also, I did Listen Ladies. I had a program I had to give, and they kidding me about, Listen Ladies. I'm sure that's the way I said it. And I could never get my ARs and ORs right, and I'd say, put your short drawers on the bottom shelf, and I'd always telling all these kitchen tips, And we had preachers that would come in and do programs, in our little cubicle there.
How long were you in the tent? Oh, you said you moved into the Mayfield.
It was the beginning, and then they sent me to Paducah for training, and then we eventually, pretty quickly, because we had no heat, we had to get in there before winter.
Where was the Mayfield Hotel?
Mayfield Hotel was across from the Princess Theater, along in that block, between the post office and it was quite interesting. We had a good time. Nancy Hunt also went to work there, and she was the program director, and I was the secretary.
That's kind of progressive for that period.
Yeah.
To be in those positions.
Oh no, not by then. That would be my mother's generation. Oh yeah, we ran the place. I'm trying to think of my boss's name. And I can't believe I can't think of it. Huh?
Do you remember who owned this station?
Yeah, the people from Paducah.
Oh, okay.
I can't think. They sent this guy over here to be. They used to send their engineer over to do any of the thing they needed done. But if they went on out to do a what you call remote, I had to give the news and everything. I had to run the turntables and all that. So it was fun.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever told my kids about that. We had one guy come in and he thought he was really a good actor. You know, he could do it. He could do it. And it came time for the news, and I said, well, why don't you do the news? Of course, we just read it off the machine. I said, I want you to do it. So he goes in to do it, and I cue him in, and he starts shaking, and his voice quivering, and I had to cut him off and take it over. It was so funny. I'm not going to call names. I'm not going to tell you who it was. But anyway, we had a lot of fun. Junior Millsaps was, one time he put on a uniform. He was crazy about the war and all, and he was a major. He had the bars and everything. And I don't know if you remember Mary Watkins, lived on 7th Street. She was an older lady. She was older than my mother even, but she was a Hunt too. And Mary Hunt Watkins, and she invited this nice young major home with her for Sunday dinner. And he went, and when she told who it was, of course, everybody told her that, you know, it wasn't, no. But anyway, he came every day to he was crazy about the radio station too. And he would come every day to the radio station. So if we had any errands we needed doing, we'd send him out to do them. Yeah. Well, you know Dorothy Sparks. She used to come and deliver eggs to us. She lived on a little farm. I think that's before she taught. Maybe I knew her no, that's before I knew her at school. She also taught school. But I don't think she was teaching then. But anyway, let me think.
Fascinating about
oh, listen, I've had such a varied life. I taught dance in Mayfield before I married at the Legion. Down at the Legion, taught little girls to dance. I had taken ballet and tap and toe dance since I was 3 years old, from 3 to 18. I didn't want to quit. And then when I married Mitch, I had a class in Hickman of dance. I'm trying to think of all I've done.
How did you get the job with the radio station? How did you get into that?
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure how I got that job. I don't remember. I just remember they hired me. Somebody in Mayfield had to hire me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I don't know. When I went to UK, I roomed with Pat Paxton. I think that the Paxtons owned WPAD. And I went, can't remember who hired me. Maybe the guy that was general manager hired me in Mayfield. But I can't think of his name. I should be able to. And of course, when we had the dances at the American Legion, they had lots of dances, and big bands came. And sometimes they had them in the tobacco barns, but mostly I remember the Legion. And our parents would go, our mothers, and sit on the balcony and watch the dance. So we weren't ever unchaperoned. And they had what they called no breaks and specials, because in my era, the men cut in, you know. You didn't get to dance. If you were popular, you didn't dance a whole dance with anybody. Somebody would cut in. A lot of men went stag, boys went stag. And that was fun. They had intermission long enough that Lucy lived over the funeral home, Lucy Byrne. The funeral home was on the corner opposite up from the Baptist church, right opposite it. And they had a nice apartment or home up above the funeral home. And so they would always have an intermission party because it was close to the American Legion where the dance was. And and even sometimes our parents would go to the dance too, you know. So that was fun. They don't do that anymore. Anywhere, I guess.